once that happens, once there's some type of budget deck that can compete in some tournaments, that's gonna be
Yeah, yeah,
huge for the
yeah.
game, I think. Because
I
the
think
whole
it's like in Magic the Gathering, like in all formats, you kind of have like mono red burn, and it
Mhm.
doesn't matter which format you go into, it's always available as a budget deck. And it seems to always attract new players that they have some deck they can buy just to get into the competitive scene.
Exactly.
So I guess Ira is kind of doing that right now because I see so many Ira decks, and personally, I think it's mostly because Ira is so readily available for people with those free decks to get at the store.
Mhm.
But I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Ira is really as top competitive as you see in the listings because it's like 40 to 60% Ira everywhere lately. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know.
It's just the value with that ability is insane because
Yeah.
I've versed one in the tournament and they do a command and conquer on their second attack, so it hits for 7. Oh,
Yeah.
like, what do you do with a 7? I mean, you need, like, a 2 of those 0 cost, like, 4 block, cards in your hand to
Yeah,
actively
yeah,
or else
yeah.
you're 3 blocking and then you're down a card, so
Or you
it's
need to use your
really
equipment
tough.
already. And
Or oh,
then,
yeah, I forgot about it. Equipment is probably, like, the perfect, method for that.
yeah,
Even
but
still, that
many
sucks.
classes don't have anything. If you look at Ranger, for example, they don't really have anything to really defend with because everything, if you defend it, breaks instantly. I guess Warrior kind of has enough stuff to defend with, and I guess Mechanologist too. But other than that, I don't think there are that many classes that can actively keep defending with the equipment.
Yeah, it's a good point, and in my perspective, when people verse IRAs, I think that the meta is gonna go more towards trying to close out the game in 2 or 3, 4 turns and just take the
Yeah,
damage
yeah,
or take as much damage as they can and go mid-range because if you make Ira have a long game, that 1 damage every turn is so much, it really adds up over the course of a game compared to any other hero ability, so I think that's why we're seeing it, but you made a really good point, man, that it really doesn't require too much cost in that deck other than the Mask of Momentum. I mean, the Mask of Momentum really, really gives that a threatening edge, but if that was subsidized for something else, I mean, it would be still be a really good deck. I mean, just Kadachi
yeah.
Kadachi
The
every
thing
turn.
is, you would kind of lose the competitive edge in terms of like you don't have the card draw from the master momentum. But I feel from what I'm seeing with Ira, they are just doing their two attacks and they just keep defending.
Yeah, they don't
So
even
then,
attack as much and they don't go on the offensive. I honestly think you could substitute it for something else and then go more of a heal deck in my mind. Go some more of those Moonwish or Sunkiss because those are 0 cost and I made a deck like that where it's 0 cost. It ends your turn, but even still because it costs 1 action, it's 0 cost and you gain 3 health. But you can literally
yeah,
Kadachi
yeah,
Kadachi and then uh Sunkiss gain 3 health, that's huge. I mean,
yeah, 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 yeah. And you can just keep sitting there. You just keep defending and you just attacking with your Kodachis and do nothing else.
yeah,
I mean, eventually you win. Eventually you win. I mean, if you have four cards in hand, usually you have enough to defend against most things the opponent throws at you, even an Enlightened Strike or like a Command and Conquer, if it's not buffed. But I think that's a viable strategy, especially for budget players. And we are going to get a restock on those. What do you call them? The free decks that they give to the players at the stores.
the Ira
Because
welcome deck.
yeah, yeah, the welcome decks. They are going to get a restock sometime this month or something. I heard from LSS themselves. So
Oh, that's great. Yeah, for the they did a reprint of those, right? The first one was
yeah,
the welcome to investing deck. The second
yeah.
one is the welcome to playing deck. I'm kidding. I mean,
I
it's
I
just
uh,
ridiculous how much
I
they've gone up in value.
opened mine, and I kind of regret it now when I saw the price jumping up like crazy. I tell her, oh, what did I do? Why did I have to open the thing? But oh well, it is
Yeah,
what it is.
that teaches you to try to learn the game. No, I'm in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same way, man. Like I opened I opened a couple of those, and now I'm like, oh, like, but overall, it's no big deal. It's nice to have those sleeved, and if I'm playing somebody, then I can go heads up. I have the same Ira deck as they do, because
yeah,
in that sense, of the word, if you win when you're doing an Ira deck versus an Ira deck, that there's no more equality than that, which is beautiful in my mind
Yeah,
because
because the
yeah,
decks are balanced to
exactly.
each
Nobody
other.
has some string tunic or whatever. But yeah, so what class do you play? So you have a YouTube channel. It's you've got a lot of gameplay content, man. That's really cool. So
Yeah, I'm trying. Like
what are you doing?
I started as a Magic the Gathering content creator. I even got into the official content creator program for Magic the Gathering, but I don't know. I saw Flesh and Blood. I straight away wanted to jump into it. In my spare time, I study a lot of Japanese history, so a lot about ninja, samurai, that kind of thing. So when I saw that Flesh and Blood has a ninja class, I was sold immediately.
Oh
So
yeah.
that is also a good class now. It's only extra beneficial to me. So right now, I'm mostly playing ninja. I'm playing a little bit of warrior Kasai. I quite like that deck as well, but those are the decks that kind of speak to me personally. Not like the Ninja and Flesh and Blood. Historically, it's ridiculous. It's just pure fantasy, but I just like it. I just like it. And
Yeah,
how
and
about yourself?
Uh,
Like,
I first got into it because of the monetary value. I'm not gonna BS. I looked at the booster boxes and I was thinking of getting into the game, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
then I was teetering on, should I buy these boxes? I'm not sure. And then literally 2 days later, literally the websites I was looking at buying the product in back in September, October, they got
Mm-hmm.
deleted from the internet. And I was like, what happened to all these boxes? Why did
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
game get bought out? Why is nothing available? So that really piqued my interest at first, but I'm mainly a collector of Magic the Gathering in the past, and I haven't really played tournament based. I played as a kid. I played, friends with just bulk rares and commons. But
Yeah.
once I started getting into the lore and the artwork and saw all the potential of Flesh and Blood, it got me hooked, man. And once I went down the rabbit hole with a couple of things in the background, it totally captivated me. And I still love Magic the Gathering. I still have a bunch of old cards and binders and sets. I like to complete sets as a collector, but Flesh and Blood, I'm just on a whole different scale, man. I'm just totally passionate about it. It's just it's hard to explain, and I know I sound like like I'm pandering a little bit, but it's just the truth, man. It's got the whole package, but also the ability to grow is just on a whole nother scale. I mean, now we're seeing with Monarch, they're going to have most likely four new classes. And if they do four new classes every year, or eight new classes every year, because they're going to have Monarch and Kingdoms, I mean, you're going to have so many classes and so many variabilities. And especially if they do PvE content. And not only that, they could also do other things with merging different classes as hybrids. It's just, there's so much to it. But once I started playing the gameplay, man, it's awesome. Like, I love how you never get land screwed and you're always doing something. It's very intense. And then, especially at the end of the game, where I have one health, you have two health, and we're just trying to get in that last tick of damage. It's intense. But yeah, that's kind of the roller coaster ride I've been on. So yeah, so your name, your channel name is Kugane. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, Kugane. Yes, correct, correct.
What does it mean?
And yeah, well, it's kind of a wordplay. The name itself, it's a wordplay on the word ninja. Like if you look at the kanji of nin, it has like two elements. It has like a heart element and a sword element. It's a bit hard to explain.
Mhm,
So I want to do a little bit of a twist on that. Like I took the heart piece and I kind of converted that to the concept of emptiness from Buddhism. And I
mhm,
took the sword piece and I tried to narrow that down to the very basic, which is the word for steel in Japanese, like hirogane.
mhm.
And I kind of combined those two, like kugane, which means like void steel. So it's a word play on the word ninja, kind of.
Wow, that sounds really
if
cool,
if
man.
that
That's
if
deep.
that makes yeah. The other thing, like kugane, is also an old Japanese word, which for them that used to mean gold.
It
That's
used to
it.
mean gold. That's
Yeah, like
awesome.
nowadays they call it Kogane, if I'm not mistaken. But in old Japanese from the 14, 1500s, Kugane was the word for gold. So that's pretty much the meaning behind the name itself. And I started using it in some MMOs a couple of years ago, and I just stuck with it ever since. So
That's cool, man. It's nice when
that's
you can
pretty much
find a
it.
name that no one else uses on those MMOs, because I hate when I have a name and then I try to use it and someone else gets it, and I'm like, "Ah, crap, I can't use my name." But,
Yeah, it's funny. I was a little bit irritated about that because I had that name and it seemed like nobody else used it because it's a old word from the Middle Ages that nobody used.
mhm.
And then in the game Final Fantasy XIV, they created a city called Kugane, and now
Oh.
it's everywhere. And
Oh,
no
no.
matter where you try to open an account, there's always username taken. So I was considering for a while, like, should I change it now because now it's no longer unique? But I just stuck with it. I just stuck with it.
That's really
So
interesting that you have a background in the history, the Japanese history of the 1500s, you said? Because that was the
um,
era of the samurai, right? In the
yeah,
15 to 1700s with the Edo
I'm
period
mostly
and the I don't know.
sorry. I kept interrupting you.
No, no,
Sorry,
you're good.
sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I'm mostly interested in like the warring period, like before the 1600s. Those were the period that ninjas were actively helping samurai in their battles and stuff like that. So those are that's the historical era that I personally study a lot. I read a lot of books. I do a lot of research for like checking scrolls, trying to find translations, stuff like that. So that's the kind of thing I like. I used to practice historical ninjutsu as a martial art.
Mhm.
However, after I've been studying the theory long enough, I now start to see that the martial art is not really as authentic as they claim it to be. So I'm still a bit concerned, like, should I continue that? Yes or no? But oh well, that's what it is. So yeah, I like the warring period specifically. So that's what I read a lot about. I read a lot of like the ninja manuals, like the Bansen Shukai, Nempidan, Shinenki, that kind of stuff. I can link you that stuff sometime. It's quite interesting to see how they used to work on the battlefield or infiltrate places secretly, that kind of stuff.
That sounds
That
really
that's
cool.
that's what I like. That's I try to kind of because I studied biotechnology and I wanted to kind of go into history, but I haven't really found a school or university that can help me to go even deeper into this field. So that's something I'm planning. But oh well, for now, just focus on content creation, play
Yeah.
Flesh and Blood, and it's also fun. It's also fun.
I
But what
remember
about
in college, I would watch, Samurai Champloo. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I know it's probably not very historically accurate, but that was a cool show.
Yeah, I haven't watched it myself, but I did see a lot of references online about it, so I know which show you mean at least.
Yeah.
But what about your own username? Like, is there a meaning behind it? Is it your own name or online name, something like that?
It's my name. It's just Bronson, and I started my channel, and it was Bronson's Blood, and I mean, that's not very unique. Flesh and blood and Bronson's blood. It was a channel all around flesh and blood, and it still is. I'm always just gonna make the channel that I have on YouTube about flesh and blood because it's just awesome, man. And yeah, I wish there's more to that. I mean, when I first started content creating, I hadn't really had a background in it at all, and it really did propel me, my just love for the game to start content creating because I didn't really have too many people to talk to in a normal setting about Flesh and Blood, and
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
was like all built up. So I was like, man, I just want to talk about it, and video content was the best. I mean, I could just talk to a camera for a bit, upload the video, and then people comment on it, and I have good discussion and talk to people. It's really fun to just really understand people's different opinions because sometimes I've had opinions and people really change them for me because I've said, hey, I don't understand. People can get a lot of cards now. You can play with commons and rares, and that was my opinion for a bit, and it still is. I think things are generally available to the public for Flesh and Blood cards for if you just want to play with the game and have fun. If that's the goal, I think that you can definitely acquire cards. But this guy said, "Hey, well, what if you're at Blitz tournaments in your local game stores and you lose every couple weeks because you don't have that legendary equipment and the person across from you does?" And I thought, you know what, that's true. And yeah, and that's a different perspective that I didn't really have. And I've been trying to play a lot more of the game. I'm mainly a collector, but as I've said it earlier, you know, I've started playing in a Blitz online tournament. That was a lot of fun, and I'm not very a competitive person at all. I definitely want to win. I don't want to lose, but at the end of the day, I don't really. That's not really my like. It's not what I strive to be like the best person ever. I just want to I'll make a deck and I'll play and yeah, and that kind of goes over into how I play. When I play decks, I just like to have a dirt simple strategy, you know? Like with Bravo, I'm gonna attack you and wait for that crippling crush. Once I get crippling crush, I'm gonna use it. But then up to that point, I'm just blocking, 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 blocking. Whereas other decks, it seems, have a lot more brain power to go into it. But yeah, just simple channel, all about flesh and blood. I really like the community, and I saw you. What is it? Yeah, what is it? I reached out to use it, or I think you reached out to me earlier today and said, "Hey, you know, you want to do something?" Yeah, and I love talking to people in the community. Have you talked to anyone else like out there, content creators and such?
Yeah, I did talk to a few people. I haven't actually gotten around to doing a collaboration with anyone else yet. I did
Awesome,
talk
I'm the
to,
first.
yeah,
This is
you're the
your world
first.
premiere.
I was talking with Louis from Kitchen Table TCG, I believe the channel's called.
Uh-huh.
Also talking with the guy from Flesh and Bones. I don't know his name, but so
Jordan.
I'm looking to do some collaborations with them, play a bit. I was planning to play with Louis as well. Only I was trying to get a tripod, and the thing still hasn't arrived, so kind of still waiting for that. So right now I'm pretty much stuck doing stuff on Tabletop Simulator. But like you said, the thing that I personally like right now is that we're kind of still in the very early stage of content creation. Like there are no big channels yet.
Yeah.
You're still at the very beginning, and everybody can kind of grow together, support each other, and all get somewhere. I quite like that because, like I said, like I've been creating content for Magic the Gathering, and it's really a uphill battle. Like the community is kind of already established, and you cannot really break into that field anymore, in
Mm.
my experience. So yeah, I'm quite happy about that, and I am also quite happy that the people that do create content are all very nice people.
What's
So
it like too and I love, both games are great, but from a content creator standpoint, do you think that yeah, and I think you proved a good point is that the market is really established with that or the big people are already there. But with Flesh and Blood, it's really not established at all and the game's still growing, so everyone wants to be everyone's friend and hey, you love the game? I love the game. Let's make it happen. Let's make it big. But Magic the Gathering, is it hard to get that kind of stuff rolling or yeah.
I think, and this is maybe more like a philosophical point of view, is that I feel games should be there to support a community. A community should not be there to support a game. And what I feel with Magic the Gathering right now is that you have a community that is supporting a game, but nobody wants anything to do with each other. And with Flesh and Blood, it's kind of the opposite that you have a game and the community is chatting with each other, trying to help each other out. You see people trading online, selling cards to each other, playing through Tabletop Simulator, through webcam games. So I think for content creation, it just feels less robotic. Like you feel you're
Yeah.
actually spending time with people rather than just making videos for an invisible audience, something like that. So I'm quite enjoying my time in Flesh and Blood. I am still in the content creator program for Magic the Gathering, though, so I have been putting out some videos for Magic the Gathering once in a while. But it doesn't seem to get any traction. It's
Mm.
very hard to even get some comments on a video. So I quite like the way things are like. I quite like the way things are with Flesh and Blood right now, and I hope it keeps growing in a positive way like that kind of. So I'm quite happy with it.
That's cool,
and
man.
I
It's
hope it
cool that you
stays
have
like this.
Yeah, it's cool that you have 2 different perspectives on it, and yeah, I mean, both are great games and they're a lot of fun, but there is some sort of philosophical thing, like you said, especially if there's a different scenario that I can compare it to, it's when you are creating a website, right? And you're trying to get ranked in Google with the SEO. If you're trying to get ranked with something that gets, that search term gets a ton of hits every month, you're probably not going to be in the top 10 of Google. But if you try to get ranked for something that gets maybe 400, search terms in Google, you can more likely get to the top ranking in Google because not that many people are searching for it. So this is an opportunity for a lot of people out there to get into content creating for Flesh and Blood, and I say it a lot, and I'm not self-deprecating. I'm literally a normal guy in a normal room, and I'm not that big in the Flesh and Blood content creators. I'm not at the top of the hill, but you know I've definitely spoken to a lot of people and gotten and talked to a bunch of content creators that I wanted to talk to. And when I first started Flesh and Blood, I I really looked up to Outcast Haven and Kale from Dead Summer Art. Those guys were just like, I watched all their content and I thought it was awesome. And it was funny because over time I finally got some subscribers and views, and I reached out to them and said, "Hey, man, you want to do some collaboration?" And they were just instantly like, "Yeah, let's do it." And it was just so humbling that I was like, "Wow!" Like creators that I've watched since the beginning, where they got me into the game, they're actually interacting with me and form friendships, and it's really a really pivotal time, man. I mean, I feel that over time this type of thing might go away and different things might happen to where it's not like this, but I definitely see for the next couple of years it's probably going to be a lot like this where people are doing this, and another thing to note is this is really setting a precedent, like when we all talk to each other and interact, it's setting a precedent for people who start later on and say, oh well, if those people are interacting with different people, then maybe I should too. It's something I've thought about a lot, and I really hope to see it go forward.
I kind of hope that, well, we are kind of at the very beginning of this whole content creation journey, like all of us. And I kind of hope that we kind of try to keep correcting the community towards like a very honest and positive mindset, because I did see a couple of people like getting a little bit too negative, especially when there were production shortages and stuff like that. But the majority of content creators kind of how to say, like they picked up on that very positively and tried to console people like, ah, it's fine, there will be a reprint, first edition is for collectors, there will be an unlimited set.
Yep.
And I hope it stays like that, because the thing that really kills a game, for me at least, is when the community gets really toxic, when it becomes too much about competition and not about the gameplay itself. So then you get a situation where people don't even play the decks that they want to play anymore. Instead, they're just playing whatever is the best deck. You get very still meta games and stuff like that. So far, it's looking very good, and I'm very happy with it. So I don't know what
Yeah.
else to say about it. I'm
No,
just
I
happy
feel
with
you.
it. It's a good game. It's a nice community. I think a big thing that kind of a big part of that is because LSS is constantly talking with the community. They're constantly talking with the content creators. They're constantly in touch with people. So people kind of feel like people and not really like a product. That's something I feel
Mm,
with Magic sometimes. When I push out a Magic video, it feels like I'm pushing out a product. When I'm pushing out a Flesh and Blood video, on the other hand, it feels like I'm making a video for my friends or something like that.
yeah, I
Like
feel you,
my
man.
Flesh and Blood friends can watch it because they probably want to see another Flesh and Blood game, and they come to the channel, they comment. I see lots of people commenting on your videos as well. I always come to check it out quickly. If I don't have time, I just let it run so you can have some extra algorithm points or whatever you want to call
Oh,
it.
I
But
appreciate it, man. You don't have to do that.
um,
It's all good. I'm very humbled, honestly, and yeah, I think there's a good term, right? A business term. It's called tone at the top, And you have a good point that Legend Story Studios really does facilitate all this niceness, and it does go from the top down. Have you ever heard that term?
I haven't, but it does make sense. It does make sense because they are just constantly being generous. I see them sending gifts to content creators, sending stuff like if you look at Noxious, for example, I guess you know him
Yep.
as well.
Yeah,
Like
he's really
they
great.
sent them something like 150 of those Iris starter decks to give out to people. I feel that's absolutely amazing. That's just such a kind move from them, especially when you see the decks have already shot up in value like crazy, and they don't care. They just send it to people anyway. So I'm happy that they are not really money hungry. They, well, of course, they need to earn money, their business, but they really care about taking care of the community, and I'm super grateful about that. I
Yeah.
like part of me kind of hopes that the game will become extremely popular and super successful, but I'm a little bit fearful as well that when it becomes too big that personal touch may become less. I don't know if that will be the case, but I hope it's not. I hope it just stays the way it is now. I really like it now.
Yeah.
So
I think one thing that is out there that will make it to where it doesn't get to that level is the age range. And I think you have a great point, man, and that is a really great philosophical discussion. And I've had it before in videos on my channel, is that I've said, hey guys, we have to make the most of the time you have here because this is a magical time in the flesh and blood realm in 2020 and in 2021. I think it'll last for at least to the end of 2021, where things are pretty low key, where you can literally message people and content creators, and they'll easily message you back. You know, me or you
yeah.
or anyone else. You can just reach out to people, and it's not like that in other games. I feel so. I think the reason why a really good thing that might deter that is the age range because on the box it says 16 plus, man. This is an adult game, and seeing the different artworks and what they've tried to push in a couple of different cards, I could really see them starting to do a little bit more of that and make this game a little bit more adult. And when you have a bunch of grown ass people, you're not going to have as much of that, emotional preteen drama and all that kind of stuff flood into the game. And I think that's a big help. But also, hopefully, Legend Story Studios tone that we talked about earlier, that you made a really good point of it, like hopefully that really keeps going, and they keep that up because that really does help. But it is a concern, man. Regardless, I mean, once a game gets very big and more people come into the community and it's established, then it's going to be a question mark of what happens. But we'll both hope for the best. But it is the sense right now, I feel that everyone wants to see the game grow. Everyone's invested time and money and energy into the game, and they just want to see it take off. And we're all like that Wall Street Bets group where we're saying flesh and blood to the moon, long live Fab, ape
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
strong,
yeah.
you know we're and that kind of type of community of being the underdog trying to go up is what I feel is drawing people together. But yeah, do you,
On,
you have
on the
any
other
other thoughts?
hand, on the other hand, I do feel some people try to rush it. Like if you look at games like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, that
Hmm.
kind of stuff, in the very beginning, nobody knew those games were going to be as popular as they are today and that they were going to stick around for such a long time. I personally think that Flesh and Blood is, how to say, it's balanced enough to stick around for a very long time. But what I'm trying to get is that right now, I feel people should give it time to become popular.
Yeah.
Like, it will become popular, I have no doubt about it. But sometimes I see people that kind of wanted to become more popular than games like Yu Gi Oh! Or Pokemon already. But I feel like give it a few years, just let it grow. It will get there. People will notice it. People will start playing it. I heard that in New Zealand, at least, like the majority of LGSs, most people play Flesh and Blood now, so
Oh
that's
wow.
kind of cool. That's kind of cool to hear. So I think this game is going to succeed, especially the way how balanced it is. And I think the balance issue is a big issue in most TCGs out there right now that this game doesn't really seem to suffer from. Like even digital games like Hearthstone, stuff like that. If you go second, you're probably gonna lose. And Magic, if you go second, you will probably lose. Yu-Gi-Oh as well. So, and I don't feel that's really the case in Flesh and Blood. It doesn't really matter who goes first. So,
No, honestly, I've been playing recently, and I in the beginning I thought going first was the best. Now, I think going second is the best by far, especially against the current meta. When you're versing somebody like Kasai or Dorinthia, you better go second because all they care and Katsu because all they care about is attacking you as much as they can every turn.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
literally, if you're second, then what happens is you gain the tempo because first turn they attack you, you dump hand, no big deal. You might take 1 or 2 damage. It's no big deal.
Hmm.
Then second turn, you attack then, they dump their cards, and then on their turn, they cannot do anything. So literally it creates a scenario where what happens, and you'll see this against warrior players, when the second person takes their turn, they'll just take the damage. They'll just say, "Yep, take it," because they want to gain that tempo back. Because
Yeah, yeah,
tempo
yeah,
is
yeah.
huge for them. So you have a really good point, man. That I didn't know that about all those other games. Like all those other games, for sure, going second is worse.
It's not like, how to say, it's not a huge loss of win rate, but you're looking at like a 5% less chance that you will actually win the game. And if your deck only has a 55% chance to win, then that 5% can matter a lot just by going second. At least that's my experience in Magic the Gathering. I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitively, but I haven't for a few years now.
Hmm.
But in that game, the person that goes first, they can set up an entire board with stuff that can negate anything you do.
Oh, gotcha.
And then whatever you try to play is like, I tried to summon a monster. Okay, negated. I tried to activate a spell. Nope, negated. That's it just doesn't feel good. And that's kind of why I went from Yu-Gi-Oh! To Magic the Gathering, specifically because you have more interaction in that game.
Uh huh.
However, lately there's been so much power creep in Magic the Gathering that I feel the back and forth interaction is almost non-existent now. Everybody's just dumping their hand and hoping for the best. So,
YOLO
but
decks.
yeah, like right now, Flesh and Blood doesn't have that, and I kind of hope that they keep the power level roughly the same. That we're not gonna see a huge amount of power creep over time, because I think if there's too much power creep, that could kind of kill the game, in my opinion. So I hope that doesn't happen. I think that the power level we're seeing now, it stays roughly the same going forward for all the classes.
Yeah, no, I think you're right because it seems currently, and we've only had 3 sets so far, but the power creep, especially with the common cards are good, and that's a huge difference because when I played Magic the Gathering just a little bit, I would notice so many times you'd open up a pack and all the commons were pretty much trash. Or they were just not as good as other sets, cards. You'd get like a 1/2 for 1 mana, and it's like, well, there's two twos for 1 mana, and there was a readily available card that was completely better than the card you pulled. But with Flesh and Blood, it seems every card has some sort of purpose and some type of deck that you could build, and it's relatively the same. I mean, there's some other cards out there. I mean, the Majestics from Welcome to Wrath are a bit, tough to go against, like the Command and Conquer we were talking about earlier, Enlightened Strike, but overall, I mean, things seem pretty well balanced. But there's not going to be a set rotation though. That's going to be the biggest hurdle, I think. I mean, how do you think that they're going to go around creating? I don't know. What do you think? In the next 3 years, they're going to create, eight, 9 different new sets. How are you going to balance that many cards in a card pool and not have things fall through the cracks? And that proves your thing where you're worried about the power creep, right? Like, how do
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
balance all that stuff?
Well, I kind of think, and maybe it's a bit pessimistic, that we kind of have some cards that are a bit too powerful already. Like if you look at things like Enlightened Strike, Command and Conquer, those are really powerful cards, and they have a high price tag because they are that powerful. So
Hmm.
maybe eventually there needs to be a, well, there's already a ban list, but maybe some cards just need to be banned over time just to keep that balance. If something is too problematic, just ban it. Something like that. I know there's a lot of people that don't like ban lists, but I feel for the health of the game that it's probably a necessity, especially if there's going to be cards that are very hard to get a hold of, like stuff from Crucible of War, that maybe some of that stuff needs to be banned just to create a even playing ground for all the players.
Yeah, you have a
Because
good point.
I had people in my Discord, for example, like they cannot get a hold of Spoils of War for their warrior deck. And it's such a crucial card in the warrior deck that they can't really play the deck competitively. So yeah, I don't know. Like, does a card like that need to be banned then because people can't get a hold of it, or does LSS need to reprint those cards in some kind of a specialty product? I don't know, like some a competitive deck boost deck or whatever. I don't know, some product to give people the cards to play with. I think that's going to be a problem, but yeah, just work on a ban list. I guess that's all I can think of.
There's a solution that I thought of, and I want to run it by you. And what I was thinking is if they made the local game stores, so like regional Blitz games, if they made a format that was Blitz or something like that, to where it's the 40 cards and it's Blitz, but you could only use commons and rares. Or or maybe even commons, rares, and super rares. Because once you get into Majestic Town, that's when you get really high, things that can have high value that can turn the tides. But up until at least rare or super rare, it's not too bad. And my main driver for this is if you looked at the Welcome to Wrath hero decks, those were just commons and rares. I mean, the card pool out there right now isn't large enough to support a lot of variation between strategies of different decks. But once you have, Monarch and Kingdom, you're going to have a lot bigger card pool to select from for commons and rares, and you can verse people like that. And when you have that, you can make competitive decks for that format for what, maybe $5 or $10. That's huge. And if you do that, then you'll uh, really drive up the cost of those lesser value cards. But then the majestics and legendaries and fables, then you can use those when you're doing national tournaments, and you can use those when you're doing worlds. Hopefully, well, that'll soon to come. But in a way, that'll be good too, because let's say you have that, right? Then regionally, if you play in 6 to 8 tournaments, you can win prizes and then take those prizes and then sell them for the cards that you need to build the decks you need to compete on a national level. I don't know. That was just my 2 cents. What do you think about competing with commons and rares? Do you think it's possible, or is that going to drag the game on too long? What do you think?
Well, we kind of already have that, don't we? Like, if you look at all the events that have been going on, there have been some pauper events as well, where people just use commons or rares in their decks. That format already exists. That people just use cheap decks. So I don't see why people cannot continue that. So I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah.
Like in Europe, like we had a big issue. Like for example, in Belgium here, my LGS only got like 8 boxes of Crucible of War, and that's it.
Wow.
I managed to buy 2 of those, and then when I went back to ask, like, "Hey, do you have another box?" They were already completely sold out. No restock, nothing. So we are in a situation here in Europe where there is people that literally cannot even build a single deck because the cards are just not there. So I was also chatting with the LGS owner, like, how can we settle this? And maybe stores just need to kind of balance it to the current metagame. Like what I suggested at my LGS that they kind of agreed with is like, okay, so if Crucible of War is not readily available for people, then don't allow them to play that set. So if people come to play, only allow Welcome to Raid and Arcane Rising, and just never mind Crucible of War for now
That makes
until there is
sense.
some kind of a restock. So if there are places where people just don't have all those high-end majestic like Enlightened Strikes, Command and Conquers, maybe there needs to be some house rules or something like that, at least until there is a larger supply, so that everybody has a roughly even playing field, or simply creating multiple formats, like you say, that there is one format at a store where people can use whatever they want, and another format on a different day, maybe where people can only use common rares and super rares. So everybody has one day in the week where they can go and play the decks they want to play, something like that. I think there's plenty of room for it, and maybe even with I heard that PvE is going to be a thing in Flesh and Blood soon as well. So I think for those kind type of events, if they create some type of in-store PvE event, then it doesn't even matter if people have the best cards.
That
At
is
least
true.
I don't think it's going to matter. It would be very strange if it did. So
No,
maybe that's
PvE
the
would
way
be
to go.
huge, and it would get so many people into the game, and that really would solve the whole issue of not having the best cards because you're not versing someone, you're versing, a big dragon or a big giant bear monster thing or something like that, and you're on the same team as your friends and your buddies, and everybody's trying to face it together, and I could definitely see some sort of event like that happening in the future where there is some sort of PvE type content. And man, that would be so cool. Because I'm also I have a D&D background. I played a lot. Maybe 4 years back, I was in a good play group with my friends, and it was a lot of fun. It was just us drinking beers and just making jokes, but also going through the adventure and having a good time as a party and that's going to be huge for and that's what meant in the beginning when I was talking about the potential for this game. It's just wild. I mean, when you have that aspect come into the game, it's just going to be nuts. And I think that they might, personally, I think they're going to release it some sort of content like that in 2022 or 2023. I think 2021 they're still establishing themselves. And what was interesting too is have you seen the Blitz decks for Monarch? That's
Yeah,
interesting how they made Blitz instead of Classic Constructed, and I think it's because they noticed that okay, Classic Constructed has really long games, and this is more of the pro thing, and they established themselves on a pro circuit. But now they're just trying to get in market share, trying to get a ton of people in, and that's why they have Blitz decks as those hero starters. I mean, I think it's a smart play. I mean, because
I
starting
also
people
noticed
do Blitz.
that
Yeah.
like the latest event coverage, the one from a few days ago, that was also a Blitz event, and the one
Hmm.
before that in November was also a Blitz event. So maybe they are kind of shifting from constructed to making Blitz the premium format or whatever you want to call it.
I
I
think you're
mean,
right.
I would love it. I would actually prefer Blitz to be the premium format. Maybe if there's a little bit of sideboarding option that maybe you can have 15 cards in your sideboard so you can have a little bit of favorable matchups against certain heroes. I would love Blitz to be the main thing, but
I agree with you because it's just a faster version of classic, and it just feels very a much more what's the word when you have 20 health. It's a lot different from 40 in my mind because 40 it's like
yeah.
okay, this is gonna be a long game. Strap in, boys. But Blitz, it's like I can't lose these health points. I need to keep them, and I think you're right. It is there is type of a shift that they really aren't talking about, but it does seem that they are shifting towards Blitz as the main format for, regions and different national tournaments. And I think yeah, you're right. The New Zealand Nationals recently that occurred, they did it Blitz, and maybe Worlds are going to be classic constructed and that's going to be where classic constructed lands is that is and that might be more of a shift later on too. Maybe Blitz is only certain cards and then when you go into worlds it's classic constructed with those extra cards. It's gonna be interesting how they do that, but I think it's a smart play because when I first got into the game I watched classic constructed games online, and I looked at the minute count. I was like, "Geez, this is a an hour and 5 minute game? Whoa, this is a long game. And it was for, people who are not as comfortable with their deck who played it a ton. So, there's definitely that. And I don't mean to say anything. If I played a classic constructed game, that game was going to an hour and 40 minutes, man. Like I'm not that as skilled, and I only play Bravo because it's very easy at the moment. But just to going back to that point, an hour and 5 minute game is really tough to run and just have a tournament based off because just the time constraints. But Blitz is definitely a better lean method, especially when you're playing, Swiss. It's you're versing a bunch of different players. But yeah, have you played a lot of tournament type things or gotten into that?
Not yet, not yet. Like right now in Europe, there is no tournament scene. The whole country and the whole what do you call it? Everything is in lockdown pretty much. So there's no tournament scene at all. So right now, I'm mostly playing online against people, and I'm still kind of learning the game because we got Flesh and Blood quite late. Like we only got it in November last year, so we've only had Flesh and Blood for like 3 or 4 months now. So
Oh
I'm
wow.
still at that very beginning of trying to learn the game properly so I can become competitive in it, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. It has a lot of potential. Like competitively, there's a lot of decision making as well, so I quite like it. And what you mentioned about like the world being constructed, I think flavor wise, that would also be kind of cool in the sense that you kind of play in Blitz with these young heroes,
Mm.
and then they kind of battle their way through these events, and eventually they grow up and they fight as adults at the world championships. That flavor wise, I feel that would be quite thematic, that you start as a young hero that becomes stronger battling his way through all these events, and then eventually he is adult, he's a hero, he has all these new powers, and then he's ready for the big event,
Dude, you
something like
just
that.
blew my mind. I never thought about it like that. Yeah, because the
Like
deck
I
gets bigger.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would like that. I would like that. So maybe there can even be a middle ground that between young and adult, that there can be something in the middle. I don't know, but
Or maybe they can be Kid Bravo. He's like a middle school version Bravo with this book
so
bag and oh wow,
20
jeez.
20 card deck, singleton, and only 10 life or something like that.
Yeah. Because man, that because when I played Dungeons and Dragons, it was much like that where you have a hero and they level up and there's progression and time goes on and things happen over time. And I didn't think about that there is flavor behind Blitz in Classic Constructed to where they're young at first and they have a certain amount of skill set, but then later on it's a 60 card deck instead of a 40 card deck. And I think that would I don't know. Now I have a conspiracy theory that they're going to limit those majestics or definitely the legendary equipment to Blitz and say, hey, you can't play these anymore because there's that progression in life, man. I don't think young Bravo was born with a silver spoon in his mouth and had his dad said, "Hey, here's a tectonic plating, son, for your 18th birthday. Go nuts!" And here's all the helm of Eisen's Peak, and here's the sledgehammer. No, man, Bravo had to earn that shit. He had to go out and fight monsters. He had to do like different things to earn those types of equipment and to make a name for himself, in my mind. So, gosh, that's interesting. But yeah, good on you for the flavor thing. I never thought about it that way.
I don't know. Maybe they can even implement something into the PvE that you kind of need to earn the right on your account, your gem account, to be able to use certain cards. That you're not allowed to use the legendary until you have earned it in some PvE event. That would be kind of cool as well. That once you've earned the right to use it, and when you go to an event and you plunk that thing down, that people straight away know, like, oh wow, you went to that event and you managed to get your permit to use that kind of thing. I don't know if that makes sense,
Yeah, that
but
makes
I
sense.
see I see a lot of RPG elements that they are putting into the game. So I would love some kind of a progression or experience thing that you can level up your character or hero, whatever you want to call it, and kind of grow towards something. I
Yeah.
think they can definitely implement that. It will be very flavorful. I think there will be a large D&D crowd and Pathfinder crowd that would like that kind of thing and maybe get into the game that way. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. And yeah, you play the PvE content as a young hero maybe, and you have to level them up on the gem ID like you said, and then once you get so much experience points, you can go into the adult hero version of your class and I think the gem ID thing is so so underrated out there. Not a lot of people talk about it as much, but the gem ID system for the whole tournament thing online is just brilliant. It's very simple and straightforward. I mean, literally, you just log in, and when you're going into the tournament, when I did recently in the beginning of January, I literally just the guy said, "Okay, look on online and it'll see your table." And I did, and I saw the table and it says win, lose, or draw. And literally you just play the dude on, Discord and TTS, and then if I win, you put you win, if you lose, you put you lose, and it just feeds it into the system. It's very simplistic but also very just practical. It works. And they could definitely implement that for the PvE system where you're at a local game store and you fight some big monster or some type of thing, or a bunch of different monsters, or you go through a certain campaign, and then once you're done, then you log the experience into your gem ID, and I could definitely see some sort of app being developed for that, or some sort of thing like that. It just the amount of things they could do with this game is just gonna it's just crazy, man.
And it's cool, like right now it's kind of still a wild west where you don't really know what's gonna happen, what will they implement, how is it gonna change. So it's gonna be really cool to see what they will do with the game. And from what we've seen so far, they are really good at developing a good game. So I have a lot of confidence that they can manage to make something great out of it.
Oh, for sure. And I think that one other thing I want to touch with you too on is like tabletop simulator, right? In my experience, it is a huge solution to the whole thing where people say they don't have the cards they want to play with. Like when you play a tournament over TTS, you can play any card you want. I mean, you could even make a Viscerai deck that has all three Fable cards in it. You could just go nuts and make some really crazy decks with whatever you want because literally you go to FabDB and you just type in all the cards you want or you click on all the ones you want, create the deck, you get the hyperlink, put it in TTS. It's just very smooth application and I think that could be supported a lot too. Like, what's your experience with TTS? I for sure I love it, and I think that personally I've played webcam and TTS, and I preferred TTS a little bit more. I just like how it's more inclusive and certain things like shuffling a deck, you don't have to just lose your mind just shuffling and making sure the cards don't go together in bad ways. Literally TTS, you right click and you hit the shuffle button and it shuffles it. I don't know.
Well, what I kind of like about TTS is like, first of all, like you say, you can use whatever card you want, so you can even play test some decks before you splurge into buying those legendaries or whatever you want. Like, at least you can play test your deck beforehand to see if you really like it or not before you buy it.
Yep.
So I quite like that aspect. And another thing is that with these events, because these promo cards, they are worth quite a lot of money. And the thing that I'm afraid of is that if you have too many webcam games, there only needs to be a couple of bad eggs in the community that kind of stack the deck so that they can win every single game. And you cannot really do anything about it because with these webcam games, you cannot shuffle your opponent's deck, you cannot cut your opponent's deck. So I think there is the danger that people will cheat.
Hmm.
So with Tabletop Simulator, you don't really have that because you can see what your opponent does. When they shuffle the deck, you know it's shuffled and not that they put certain cards on top. So that's what I quite like about doing it on TTS digitally. On top of that, I feel from a content creator perspective, I like Tabletop Simulator because you can hover over cards, you can press Alt and kind of zoom it out so that the viewer can read the card or at least pause the video and see what's going on. And I find a lot of the recorded footage from physical games, it's sometimes a little bit difficult to follow, especially if you're a new player. Like now, I'm starting to know what all the cards do, so I have less of an issue with it. I know what's going on. But in the very beginning, back in November, when I was trying to watch some games, I had no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
They throw slinging terms around, and I'm really like, okay, okay, they did damage. I don't get it, but I feel with Tabletop Simulator, it's much easier for people to follow what's going on.
Oh,
So
for sure.
I
The
quite
card
like that.
images
I
are
quite like
bigger,
that.
right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
just wish that the card, like the image quality, was a little bit higher resolution, because a lot of the stuff is quite pixelated, and I think that's a little bit of a shame. Maybe it's a limitation of Tabletop Simulator, I don't know, but I wish they were a little bit higher resolution.
yeah, that's good feedback. Yeah, if it was a little bit higher, it would be really good. And but when you do compare it to the webcam games, for content creating, man, I hate having screen glare on the cards. It is the worst thing. I literally have to turn off every light bulb in my room and have like these circle lights on the left and right, just at the right type of angle to make it no glare on the cards. And I'm not that type of good person with the lighting, so it's just a pain in the ass. Like just
Well,
getting everything set up in a perfect way. But when you do TTS, it's literally perfect. You just hit the button on OBS to record, and you go to TTS, and you're good. You know?
well, you should try, like, I suffer from migraine, so if I have too much reflection, I get migraine. So what I did is I switched to Ultra Pro Eclipse sleeves, and they have those matte sleeves that don't really reflect the light as much.
Ooh.
So I think those might actually be better for recording games like that. You will not have as much light reflection back to the camera. So maybe you should check those out if you can.
Yeah, you
They
gotta
are
link
called,
me after this. What's it called?
yeah, the Ultra Pro Eclipse. They are quite expensive. I believe, like, over here they cost like €12 per pack, so about 14 USD for 100 sleeves. But
Hmm.
they are really good. They are very durable. You can hardly even rip them, so they don't split. And they have a matte finish at the front. It makes the cards a little bit fuzzier, but at least you don't have that annoying glare the whole time. So
Yeah, that sounds really
maybe
helpful. I need to look
maybe
into those.
that's a thing just for content creation that's helpful. So
Oh, for sure, because doing the lighting and stuff, it's tough. And even like, I have this arm thing that holds the webcam and it faces it down, and I need to get a little bit better setup with that. But just overall, I think TTS is just a little bit there. And but both applications are good. I've played, with the physical cards, and that's worked fine. And I've seen other gameplay with it, and it looks great. But I really think that it's awesome as well that the internet's here to literally just connect us all over Discord, and you can easily play with anyone around the world. I mean, that's the most fascinating thing. I mean, I played with people from the UK and over there in Australia. Kale from Dead Summer. I played a couple games with him, a couple months ago, and it's just so cool, man. It's cool that you can play literally anyone around the world, and yeah, I don't know.
especially now, I mean,
Yeah,
like, it's horrible with what's going on in the world, but we have such amazing technology nowadays that everything can be at such a high resolution, at such a high internet speed, that you can pretty much connect with anyone in the world now. I feel there hasn't been a better time for there to be a pandemic than there is now, with all the technology we have and everything. So I'm happy about it as well.
yeah, there for
So
sure
that
is a
we
silver lining.
so plus I think, like, with everything going on in the world, is that people may appreciate community events more once things get better, once the virus is gone. So I hope that once everything goes back to normal, it will probably never go fully back to normal, like, but I hope that people will appreciate going to the LGS more, supporting the LGS, like coming to play at events, stuff like that. So I think it will only have a positive impact overall. But yeah, like I say, I really love how you can play with anyone in the world nowadays. It's amazing how far technology has come.
Yeah.
That's
Like, you're from Europe and I'm from Florida in the US, and we can seamlessly play a trading card game even though we're thousands of miles away. That's just wild to me.
yeah, and even doing something like a podcast like this,
Yeah.
like 20 years ago, that would have been completely impossible. Like you would have to be physically in a studio with recording with professional equipment, and now people are just doing it with some crappy
Yeah, stuff they buy at Walmart.
microphone. Yeah.
Yeah. Or their cell phone, you know?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let's get into so your channel's mainly based on, it seems, gameplay, right?
Right now, yeah, like I've been doing a lot of box openings. I want to do more unboxings, but money is just a limiting factor for me. Like I only earn about 200 to $250 a month, and I need to pay everything with that. So I am kind of hoping to move more towards like the collecting and box opening aspect than just purely gameplay itself. But I want to do both. I am definitely gonna keep it mostly focused on trading cards and especially Flesh and Blood. I will do some Magic the Gathering content here and there myself, but like I said, it's very hard to gain an audience for Magic the Gathering, and I've been trying for nearly a year now, and I kind of reached the point that I don't even want to bother anymore because it's just such an uphill battle to go up against all those big channels and stuff like that. So I know I will keep focusing on creating game content, playing against people, and just creating a community in general. That's what's important to me at least. And yeah, that's all. That's all.
That's cool, man, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there, content creator wise, who are gonna wanna play games and put it on your channel. I know we're gonna play a couple of games. It's gonna I'm looking forward to it 'cause, well, I
Yeah,
want
that's
to
gonna be
do
fun.
yeah, I wanna do more gameplay stuff. It's just hard at this point in time. I feel that it just needs to be there's something little pepperish I wanna add to it. So, like, with booster box openings, let's use that type of content. So, a lot of
Yeah.
different people have added their little spice to it. So, Jordan from Cobra Pearl, he's done his working out thing where if he pulls a majestic, then he's like, okay, got to do the curls for the girls, and you got to do my 20 reps, and that just it makes me crack up every time. It's so perfect, you know. You have to add something to that. And when I did booster box openings, I did my jank booster box opening where I would open packs, and some of them I would repack, and I would try to get the user or the viewer to see, like, can you tell the difference between a real pack or a pack that I have opened before and repacked it and resealed it. So that was a little interesting, and I personally want to get more into the gameplay realm, but I think that I need to find that little spice that's really gonna make it pop in my mind. That's what I'm aiming to do. But I definitely think it's going to be huge in the future. I think there's going to be some content creators out there who really find a secret sauce and do some sort of format like that and are able to really just make really great content, because the big draw to that in my mind is once you have that and once you start doing it, it looks awesome, man. Then you can literally play Flesh and Blood like you normally would, and you're creating content at the same time. You know, how beautiful is that? I don't know. It's beautiful to me.
Yeah, I know, I know. Like personally, like I love what a lot of these content creators doing, especially what Louis on Kitchen Table TCG is doing. He has
I love that
very
guy. He's awesome.
interactive content, but like to me personally, I'm more of a analytical person. Like I come from a scientific background, so I like the analytical aspect to these card games, like that you kind of brew a deck, that you kind of get into the details of about the consistency, how well the deck plays and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
that kind of YouTube videos, it's not as entertaining, I would say. And that's something that has been going through my mind lately as well, is that I realized that I'm kind of creating content for a game where people really want to watch flesh and blood stuff, but it's very hard to get that like that spice, that like you say, that
Yeah.
entertaining aspect that makes people come back to your channel just because they want to see whatever you're doing. It doesn't matter. They just want to see entertaining personality. And I don't know if I personally feel comfortable. Like it feels a bit fake to me. That's the thing.
Oh, what
Like
does?
like when you kind of create this entertaining persona to kind of lure the viewer in and to keep them entertained throughout the video.
Mm.
Like it doesn't feel like I'm being genuine if I'm doing that. So until I feel like I do feel it's genuine, I kind of want to stay away from it. I don't want to uh, create content trying to act like somebody that I'm not, if that makes sense. Because I feel if you do that too much, at some point you will get burned out
Yeah,
because
man.
you constantly need to do something that's not you. Uh, so on one hand, I do know where you're coming from, that you want to add that spice to the videos and that formula that will just make it work all the time, no matter what you're doing. But then on the other hand, like for me personally, I kind of want to stay away from that. I want to keep the content just generally positive, like always positive, always genuine, always being honest to the viewer about stuff that's going on and stuff like that. So that's the thing that I'm personally trying to build my channel on. But it's a lot harder, I have to say, because
Yeah,
well, people want to be entertained.
they
That's
do.
just they
No,
want
no,
to be
but you bring
entertained.
up a really great dude. You're really deep, man. I love it, you have a really good point, and I struggle with that a lot because a lot of times I want to be very animated and be that way because I do really have a lot of passion for the game, and sometimes that really does bubble over into me just being crazy and just going ham. But then again, sometimes I look at some of my videos and I think, oh crap, I feel too salesy here. I feel too fake and not genuine. And I really do like more of my content where I'm just raw and real and be like, yo, I'm Bronson, this is my stuff and this is how I think, and let me know what you think, instead of just like a total the fakeness. And it's tough to grapple with that because on an entertainment scale, it's really a duality. You want to entertain people, you want people to be entertained, but then also you want to do it in a way that really conforms to who you are as a person. And it's something I think that has to be done over time. Like, I've made over 250 videos for Flesh and Blood on YouTube in the last 4.5 months. And I've definitely gone back and forth with that, where I've made just extremely raw videos and then videos that I'm a little bit more fake on. And I every time I do those, I try to find a good blend of medium where I am being entertaining, but also I'm conforming to who I am. And when I said spice, I don't think it's good to be more of something that you're not, but I definitely think my biggest thing in gameplay videos is I think that they need to be shorter, in my mind, personally. I think that when people watch gameplay videos, it's gonna be better if the gameplay is really fast and focused on, exciting things versus people just, pausing and waiting to do what they want to do. But it's tough like that because a lot of times you do need to think about what you're going to do on your turn because it's hard to add up all the resources and stuff like that. So I think that's the kind of spice that I want to add. I want to make quicker gameplay. If I do this in the future, it's just stuff I've been thinking about. And I don't know. I think the Outcast Haven group have a pretty good thing where they have a group of guys that play every Tuesday, and two guys are playing the game, and then I think two guys on the back end are just talking and just making jokes and interacting with the people playing. I think that's a kind of cool spice that I like. Have you seen them?
I haven't seen them myself, but I know what you mean. I see this kind of thing a lot in Magic as well, where you kind of like at these tournaments where people are playing each other as like two people narrating what's going on and what they think is going to happen, and they're talking to each other like, so what do you think is going on through this player's mind, or what do you think that player is going to do next if this player plays that? I kind of like that, and I hope we get more of that in Flesh and Blood personally, because like 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 you said, like it's all about finding a little bit of a balance between those things. Like, you want to be entertaining and you also need to stay yourself. Like, for me personally, what attracted me to your channel is that you are just yourself, in my opinion. Like,
Oh, I
it
appreciate that,
doesn't
man.
it doesn't feel like you're being fake to your audience, so that's something that I personally enjoy. Flesh and Bones is the same. They are very grounded. They're very just being themselves.
Yeah,
I
Jordan's
like
cool.
that. I like that. Maybe the majority doesn't, but personally, I quite like that. So I don't know. Like, if also if you do that, like if other people are playing and there's two people kind of having a chat and narrating it, it's also easier to kind of stay yourself, because when there's two people having a conversation, that entertaining aspect becomes less important.
Mm,
Like, it's because there is a conversation going on, like on a mental scale, like on a psychological scale. Like, if you are doing your thing against an audience by yourself, you kind of need to make the audience feel like they are a part of things.
yep.
But when you have two people talking to each other, it becomes less important, because then there's two people interacting, and a third person, the viewer in this case, is just listening and taking in what's going on. So maybe there's just people with different kinds of personalities that are more suitable in a certain type of content creation than other types of content creation. So
Yeah, it's always a mixed bag, and you have different people who are gonna have different tastes and all that stuff, and it's all good at the end of the day. But I'm with you. That's the point of this type of content. I'm just talking to you like a normal person, and we're just having a chat with two people who love Flesh and Blood. We're just talking about the game, and it's not like I emailed you and I was like, "Hey, did you get my email with all the questions I'm going to ask you? I sent it last night. Did you review? Did you review your scripts? You know, you better memorize those lines." It's like we didn't rehearse this ahead of time. Literally, we talked earlier today, maybe 5 hours ago, and you're like, "Yo, man, you want to talk?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's collab. That sounds fun." And now we got on a Discord chat, and we're just talking like normal people, and and that's the kind of content I like to make, and I think that goes to the point too at the end, is that there's a bunch of different content out there. It's like you go into an ice cream shop, and there's many different flavors of ice cream, and people are gonna like different scoops of ice cream, and that's all good. And I definitely have a type of scoop in the far back that has a little bit of frost on the top, because not that many people scoop at it. But I'm proud of what I'm doing, and I make content that I want to make, and that I would want to watch, and that's a big takeaway, I think, is for anyone starting out. And I think Kale from Dead Summer Art, he said that, where he said, "I make content that I would watch," and that really hit me, man. It's true, and that is why I'm happy doing what I'm doing. But I think all the content creators out there overall are awesome. I mean, you've got the Louis, love that guy, and Red Zone Rogue and DM Armada and Noxious, you said earlier, and all those guys, and you've got a lot of good people coming on the scene, man. Like Jordan from Flesh and Blones, holy heck, he does a really good job. He's a good talker. And then recently, I don't know if you've seen this, man, but there's this guy who made a video the other day. Um, Oh man, it's a Fab Cracks, and he literally made an introductory video that just blew my mind. It just had all these. It had a spoof off of all the content creators, and and then you got you, man. Kugane Games, or your channel. I think it's just Kugane, right?
Kugane Gaming, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
Like,
man,
I put gaming behind it, but yeah, my logo, everything is just Kugane. It's just who I am in the online atmosphere, or whatever you want to call it.
yeah, and you're pumping out a
So
ton of Flesh and Blood gameplay videos, which is
I
huge.
try, I try. Like,
No,
originally
that's
I
huge,
used
man.
to. originally I used to try and do a video every single day, but like I have no job. Like I write content for Draft Sim that creates Magic the Gathering and Magic the Gathering drafting app and stuff like that. They
Hmm.
publish articles as well. So I write for them and I write for a couple of other companies, but the income stream is so low that I really wish I could just focus full time on YouTube and just do that as a job, like just create videos, chat with people, and just keep doing that. But it's so hard to find the balance between earning enough money to sustain a living and at the same time working on YouTube. Because I think one of the things that most people don't realize is that even if you have a couple of Patreons and even if you have your channel monetized and stuff like that, the income stream with YouTube is so extremely low that whatever content people put out, the hours of work goes into it. And sometimes I feel that people don't really realize how much work actually goes into content creation.
Yep.
So that's also what makes me appreciate people like yourself and other Flesh and Blood content creators, because when I see them post a video, in my mind I already know, like, oh, that's a 1 hour video, so they probably had to work like 6 hours editing it, encoding it, uploading it, creating a thumbnail and stuff like that. So then I really feel like, wow, that's really kind of them to do that for the community, because I don't know, I personally really appreciate that from all the other content creators, and also why I try to support as many Flesh and Blood creators as I can. Like, even if I don't have time myself, I will just leave the video running because it does help with channel growth. So yeah, like there is
Oh,
a
I'm
lot
the
of
same
work
way, man.
that
Like I'll whenever I see new content creators, I literally instantly go to their thing, like it, subscribe, and just comment and say, hey, please make it more content. Like I love this. Keep it up, man. And a lot of people have a lot of good stuff, and even if they don't have even if it doesn't really appeal to me, it really you do see a progression of people over time. I mean, especially myself when I first started out, my videos weren't anything special, and I'm still learning as a content creator, but just the whole people putting their time and effort into this is something that is overlooked. I think you, man, you make a lot of deep philosophical points. I don't know what to do with you, but but it's true.
sorry,
No, no, I
sorry,
love
but
it, man, because I'm deep too. I like to think about that stuff too. But that is a very overlooked thing, and the income stream for me literally is non-existent. And I
yeah, that's
made
tough.
a
That's tough.
Mercari link a long time ago that's made me like $40 credit, and but it's good. I want it to be like that because I'm all focused on passion. I do have free time now and then, but doing a video every day is tough. And I did it for the first 3 months, and now I do about 4 videos every week. But it's still tough, and I don't really have as much free time to literally make a video, publish it that day, make a video, publish it that day. I usually make videos on one day. I make 5 videos, and then I schedule them out, and then I make 5 videos or 4 videos another day and schedule them out, and it really trickles in. So if I am busy an entire week, it's no big deal because I have videos already scheduled out. And I think that's kind of weird to do, but honestly, it's the only way I can do it. Or else you'd see like me not posting for 2 weeks and then all of a sudden like 5 videos and 3 videos on another day. So but you do bring up a good point that then that's why I see in a lot of content creators, no matter who I like and whatnot, and what flavors of ice cream out there, we need all those flavors to run the ice cream store. Like they're doing all this effort and labor and stuff, and people aren't really getting too much out of it. It's really a passion thing, honestly, at the end of the day. And maybe this game will blow up, and all these all the people will rise. The boats will rise as the games get successful. Who knows what it will be over time? But at this
I'm
point,
not
it's really
sure.
passion.
I'm
I
not
don't think
sure.
so.
The
I
thing
don't.
is, like, if I look at, for example, like somebody like in the Magic the Gathering community, like Convert Go Blue, CGB. I don't know if you know him.
Mm-mm.
Like, he has about 100,000 subs now. He streams. He puts a video up every single day. He streams every day, I believe. So he has a constant stream of income and donations coming in. And I believe like 3 months ago, when I had a chat with him in one of his live streams, he was only barely making ends meet at that time.
Wow.
So, and this is for a game like where he's already one of the top 5 established Magic the Gathering content creators. So I think in terms of content creation for Flesh and Blood, even if you become a big channel, the total income will still be very little. So I think at that point it's kind of up to the community to, how to say, to sponsor creators to keep the content flowing. Otherwise, at some point they need to stop, because the money that YouTube pays is very little. Even if you have the memberships, like 30% goes to YouTube. There's very few people that sign up to a Patreon. Well, lots of people, they do have financial issues of themselves, so they simply cannot commit to those type of things. But it's very tough for a content creator to really turn content creation into a full-time job, and especially in a niche like Flesh and Blood. Like, I don't know what kind of a growth we can realistically expect at this point. Maybe 50,000 subs, 60,000 subs. But then, even with daily content and daily streaming, then you would still not have enough to live a normal life. So that's a bit difficult. That's
Yeah. So it really does turn it. I didn't know that, and I guess
a
it really
tough barrier
does.
to overcome.
Yeah,
And
it turns it into. Oh,
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
know if LSS can help with that, but I don't know how to overcome that barrier specifically. But who knows? Like, maybe LSS can help by sending creators promos and stuff like that, because we have consistently seen that these promos do have a lot of monetary value. So that could kind of help to budget things out a bit. But it's tough. It's very tough to grow as a content creator, at least to do it as a job. So
It's a good point. You really do have to be passionate about it and have something to where you want to just do it for fun and because you know you like the game and it's more of a hobby. No, that's a good point. And that I didn't like that is interesting that even if you grow it into something big with a big audience, it's not going to definitely pay the bills. But I'm having a lot of fun with it, and if there's one thing that I can take away from content creating is I first off, I'm doing this because I love the game and I want to see the community grow and I love talking with people about Flesh and Blood. It's really an outlet for me to talk to people. But one thing that I've thought about is that if you look at Magic the Gathering and, it's been out for what, over 25 years. If you look back now and back and say, hey, in the 90s, I was making content, I was on the scene, I was, one of the first people. I've heard people say that where they were around for alpha and beta of Magic the Gathering. They were in that time period and they understood the culture and stuff. But one thing I'm looking forward to, man, is like in 15, 20 years looking back and saying, hey, I was not only in this, but I went, balls to the wall. I made so many videos on the game. I analyzed it and all this stuff, and here's all the collection of videos that I had from the beginning of the game, and that's gonna be big for me, man. I don't know. It's just gonna be cool to say and look back and say, hey, how's that guy? I don't know, but that's
not
just
only
me
that,
personally.
maybe at that point of time, that stuff like a Fabled will be super expensive already. I have no idea what to expect in terms of growth, but if I hear that a Arcanite shard is like twice as rare as an Alpha Black Lotus, so if the game becomes popular, those kind of pieces will someday be worth quite a lot. So it will be quite cool that if you have your channel and we're all doing box openings, to be able to kind of go back to that and be like, hey, look, I used to
Yeah,
pull this. Like, this used to come out of a booster pack, like this, I don't know, 20,000, $30,000 card or whatever. Like, this came out of a booster pack. So
that's so
I quite
true.
like that idea that right now it's well, Crucible of War is kind of limited in its nature, but we are pulling all these things and it's kind of just cardboard. And who knows, maybe 10 years from now, even like those alpha commons will be worth a ton, because something happens that people start collecting them. So it's kind of fun to be at the very beginning, and I haven't really felt that since my childhood when I started collecting stuff like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! When you are
Yeah,
there at the very start and you are building your collection as things come out, that feels good. That feels good. I never like I wasn't around, like I was too young in the whole alpha scene of Magic the Gathering. I only jumped in around fourth edition or fifth edition or something like that. So I was quite late joining as a kid. So I never really had that drive to be like, oh, I'm gonna collect this game, because there were already so many sets released that you couldn't really catch up anymore. But with a
yeah,
game like Flesh and Blood, you start collecting now and you can kind of progressively keep growing your collection. And I really like that. I
yeah.
really
It's really
like that.
awesome. It's just it's really cool to be part of, man. It feels like we're all a part of something interesting, and we see how it'll be cool how it all plays out. But I really like how you're focused on gameplay, man, and I think that gameplay is the future for Flesh and Blood. I feel that well, go figure, right? The game is gonna be the future. You know, big news for me here today. But what I mean is, I think there's gonna be something like there's this D&D group that's really popular. I forgot their name, man. I always forget their name. But there's a group of actors, and their channel is huge because it's just a really cool aspect of it. And I think there's gonna be that in the future. I think there's gonna be people who add that type of spice to gameplay videos, and just as people more get into this game, especially in 2021, we're going to see a lot more people coming into the game. And when they do, there's going to be a lot of mainly players, I think. We focused a lot on collectability and demand for the product in 2020, but in 2021, people want to figure out how to play the dang game. And when they do that, they're going to be looking at your channel and say, "Hey, this guy has a bunch of gameplay videos. I can learn from this." So I think that you're, really well positioned. I really like the content, man, and I really look forward to seeing the future of your stuff, man. But
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
yeah.
I
Did you
really
want to add
appreciate
anything
it.
else before we wrap it up? Any plugs at all? I mean, you've got your YouTube channel, Kugane Gaming. I think you're doing great stuff. Anything you want to plug for yourself? You're a really cool guy. I like how you have a lot of philosophical thinking and different debate type things in your mind, because I'm all about that shit, and I've enjoyed hearing what you said because you've made a lot of really good points. But anyway, sorry. What is there anything you
I
want to
just
plug?
think in general, like whatever we do in life, all the events we go through kind of help us grow as a person. I don't really want to call it spirituality, but just personal growth,
Hmm.
like all these things help. And I feel the game is really great that we are part of a community, that we're building a community together. We all have this common interest, whether it's the financial aspect or the gameplay aspect. I'm really happy about that. And I just hope that's something that keeps growing. And other than that, I don't really know what else I would have to plug in really. Like I have my YouTube channel. Feel free to check it out if you like gameplay videos and unboxings. And yeah, that's it. That's all for me.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I want the best future for Flesh and Blood. Long live Fab to the moon. We want to. We both are on the same page, and it's gonna be a wild ride, man. I think that it's an eerie time right now. We're all like buckled in on the roller coaster, and we're going up. But once Monarch hits, it's gonna be interesting. I think there's gonna be a lot more people in the game, and a lot more excitement. But I'm happy
Yeah,
to
but
meet you, man, and this was fun chatting. Appreciate it.
yeah, it was very fun meeting you too. And now we can do this again. It's just fun to work together with other creators, have a chat about the game, share some thoughts, fling some opinions back and forth, and yeah, that's all. That's
I'd love
all.
to do this again with you, man. Look forward to it. All right. See
All
you around,
right.
man.